All right. We'll turn the meeting over to our chair.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to see everybody again. Hey, just a reminder that this video is, or this meeting is live streamed and recorded, and it's available if anybody wants to watch on YouTube at a later date. And I'd like to remind everybody, if you wish to speak, please state your name before you speak, just as an accessibility courtesy. And we're going to go around the table here for
You know, I know we know everybody, but why don't we introduce ourselves because we'll be on YouTube later.
Okay. I'm Shannon Gallons, the chair of the committee.
And I'm Diane Morrell, the accessibility coordinator for support for the committee. And we have Stephanie admin support with us. Denise Elliott.
Dan Jennings, community member.
Peter Tenazzo, Director of Planning.
Carol Magnan. Awesome. We were to have a couple of people coming in online, and perhaps when they come in, we'll just get them to introduce themselves as well. All right, back to you, Shannon.
Okay, we need to have approval of the minutes for our May 18th meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look over the minutes?
We do, but I don't know that we have a quorum right now.
No, that's
without-
true. I never thought about that.
1, 2, 3, 4. No, we don't.
Tracy's online too.
Pardon me, Tracy?
Yo, I just wanted to make sure you knew I was online.
Yes, sorry, Tracy. Yes, we have you there as well. We have your
Okay,
off, but we do see your name. Sorry.
perfect.
There is one online, just Tracy right now.
Two, Tony and Tracy.
Yes. And Tony is also part of our planning department as well. She deals mainly with site plans. So she's going to be here at meetings as well as Peter.
Well, I guess this meeting will be just for informational purposes if we don't have quorum to make any decisions.
I'm just writing a note about that.
Yeah. Okay, do we need to do conflict of interest? We don't have one anyway.
I guess not.
Right?
Leave it alone, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I guess we move on to new business, the evacuation plan for John Road.
Okay, so this is something that I brought up. We have, we've known as the committee about the accessibility evacuation plan from this area. But I thought it was good for new members, because it's been a little while since we've even really been in the office, to remind everybody about our evacuation procedures. It's pretty simple. If we hear the alarm, we leave the building. We can go to either entrance. My preferred is the arena side, which is to the left, to going out the door to our left. That way, yes. And we gather just outside the doors and wait further instructions from staff. So I did send out the emergency plan. There is a different one. Should we ever have meetings at City Hall, sometimes we join council meetings. So there's a different procedure then, and we'll go over that before there's an opportunity to attend there, okay? Anybody have any questions? Tracy, anything?
No, I'm good.
Awesome.
So, do you want some dates changed?
Yes, I'm participating in the Design of Public Spaces Review Committee. So the Design of Public Spaces has to do with all of our outdoor spaces. That standard has been around since 2016 was when it was first put in place, and it's going through its 5-year review process. And those meetings have a couple of scheduling conflicts with the AAC meeting. So hopefully everybody is able to make it. I tried to go day before, day after. Those are the proposed dates. If anyone has any issues with those dates, we can look at rescheduling them. But I'll send that out to the committee as well so that everybody knows that those dates will be changed, and we can get feedback that way as well.
Okay, so we'll move on to community development, enabling accessibility grant application for Point to Shane, letter of support requested.
Yes, Virginia at the Community Services Department, CSD, is looking to apply for a grant for Point de Shane. And I know Point de Shane, for anyone that's been out there, knows that it's quite a gem that we have in our city, but it's really not very accessible. So an opportunity has come up to apply for funding. So Virginia's working on that. We did a site visit together. There's quite a few things that need a little bit of help. A little bit of weathering from the paved paths there, as well as there are no accessible bathrooms, no accessible change rooms, and no access to the actual beach if you use a mobility device. So we're looking at improving all of that. And we'll do our best to fit everything into a budget application. There may be some request from the committee for very removal funds. But at this point, what we're really looking for is a letter of support. We can't vote on it. I don't even know if we can send out an email vote, if that is considered appropriate for the committee, but I can ask about that. Because we need to get that out sooner than later.
Mhm. When was her deadline?
November 1st.
Okay, so
Just
before
a
the next
couple
meeting.
weeks, Yeah.
I would think as far as, I would suggest that if, like, in order to be able to put a letter of support together, that is something that you could do like a proxy vote or email.
I would think so. I think so. So I'll send that out by email.
And just, sorry, so that I'm aware, some of the things that they're looking to upgrade at Point of Shane, the big thing was what, the paved parks? Or sorry, the paved parks, they want to pave trails, I believe, repave trails.
Redo trails
Re-
in
yeah.
some way and try to make it in some way that, I guess when we had high water a couple of years ago, the waves really washed away some of the sand under it. So the edge along the beachfront area, which is really high on the beach, it's incredible to think waves are that high. But that they begin to crumble because the sand was washed out underneath. So
Okay.
So repairing certain sections of it, I don't think it needs all repaving, but repairing and probably finding some way to stabilize the edge should anything like that happen again.
Okay.
And then we talked about getting people with mobility devices down to the water and into the water. So that may be quite a feat because it's quite a distance and it's quite a height distance. And according to the Design of Public Spaces standard, anything, I think, higher than 200 millimeters is considered a ramp. So then we have to follow ramp standards for safety. So it'll take some creativity, I think. And then the washrooms and change rooms are not accessible. They need better paved paths into the facility. And we talked about door actuators on all 4 doors, male, female, washrooms and change rooms.
Okay.
Yeah. So
But the good news is transit goes out there now, so we would be able to use Parabus to access it.
yes, I'm really excited about that. I think that's gonna be great.
I can
So
jump
if
in.
we get funding. Sorry, go ahead, Tony.
I actually happened to be at a beach in Godrich this past summer, and they had a very nice accessible, I don't want to call it a blanket. I think we have one, but it's not out all the time, right? It's like almost like a walkway to get across the sand, right?
Yeah,
And I'll send you a link of, hopefully I can find some pictures of what it was, because they had a really nice accessible waterfront. Like I seen a couple people using it, and it looks like it was a pretty permanent fixture. So maybe there's some inspiration there that we can borrow to make something work here.
that would be
So
great. That would be
Okay.
great. A lot of what's in use locally, Pancake Park and Thessalon now have Moby mats with a beach
Moby mats.
wheelchair. And that's become really, really popular. We use it for the water skiing program. And it is a mat that can be rolled up. We roll it up at the end of the program, we put it away, and we go back the next time we unroll it. And it's very good for anyone with a mobility device. So
Yeah.
that may be the way. Any questions, anyone on that? Okay.
Okay, so next, it looks like we're looking for another letter of support for the Civic Center seawall replacement.
Yeah, that is one that was done. I did one from the Accessibility Center's point of view, because that application has already gone in. So just for your information, again, should the grant be successful, the area behind the Civic Center is sort of accessible, but you can't connect the whole Hub Trail waterfront area there by wheel, because there are some steps involved. So it's very old infrastructure. Again, Virginia is looking to make that area accessible, as well as protect the environment, hence the seawall issue, so that we don't end up with erosion as well.
Yeah, so what it is, and I know that this application came down the pipe very quickly. So a couple years ago, an engineers, the seawall, which would be that riprap wall, I guess, on the east side of City Hall is failing. And there was an engineer that suggested, you gotta fix this ASAP. So in deciding to fix it, not only it was like, well, if we're gonna fix the seawall, there's also those stairs, and it's not very accessible. It's from the 70s.
Yeah.
So I think the plan is to try to roll that all in together, and then potentially also sort of get that promenade going again, right? That what they call the promenade, which used to be that walkway that went down the east side of Pine Street Marina. Sorry, not Pine Street Marina, Bellevue, Bondar Marina.
Right.
So to get that, but again, that was partially taken out because it wasn't accessible. That was an issue too. So it would, anything that gets built would be accessible, but the big part is to fix the seawall. But then if we're going to fix the seawall and tear everything up, we might as well put it back in a way that is better than what it is now. So that's
perfect. So the Accessibility Center provided a letter of support for that, and of course we support accessibility, and it will connect very nicely to the existing trail system. So that has already gone in.
Okay, and someone reported a barrier issue about the garbage cans blocking the sidewalk.
Yeah, this is an issue that's been ongoing, I guess, since, well, for a long time. But this community member wrote a letter and was hoping to come to committee. But through Peter and Susan Hamilton Beach at Public Works, what it is, the situation is that there is a narrow sidewalk. It's old sidewalk, again, old infrastructure that is a 3-foot wide, I think, space. No boulevard along the roadway. So there is nowhere to put the refuse bins, the recycle bins and the garbage bins, which are now 2 days out of the week as opposed to 1. And this gentleman who has a physical disability, hello, Lisa, please come in. So this gentleman who has a physical disability goes out for a walk every day. And it's not so bad in the summertime, but getting to be winter time, he has to leave the sidewalk because the refuse bins are blocking the sidewalks. He has to walk on the street, which is now snow covered, icy, there's traffic. And his comment was, sidewalks are for pedestrians. So what can we do to make this better? So in bringing that forward to Susan Hamilton Beach, She is working on a bit of an information campaign to the residents to ask them to put the refuse bins on the edge of their lawn or right just on their driveway by the sidewalk. The other thing that's happening is that they're also working with the drivers so that when the drivers grab the bins and put them back, that they're able to put them back in a location that does not block the sidewalk. So it's a bit of a training issue as well. So we'll see how that works. You know, the bigger challenge may be getting all of the residents to, you know, to work together to make this a safe sidewalk. But maybe repeated messaging is needed for this. So we'll keep you posted on how that goes. I just wanted to share that and let you know if you have any other issues like that. We can do our best to try and you know, make our sidewalks safer for everyone.
Yeah, it was interesting, like, because Susan, I have a lot of respect for her, but it was really interesting when we met. I think the first comment was, I think the suggestion was, well, can they just put it on the road, on the curb? It was like, well, there's a liability there, but you're kind of like, well, if there's a liability with somebody walking out onto the road to dodge a bin, but I think the solution, be curious, because I'm fairly certain she talked to the contractors and the drivers. And it'd be interesting to see this week, maybe we can follow up with that gentleman, see if he's seeing any change.
Yeah. He did send some pictures before he did leave a message for me saying one of the drivers does a great job. He puts the bins onto the lawn area. I guess the recycling truck and the garbage truck has a very long arm, so they can reach around traffic, around banks and still reach quite far onto the properties.
I know ours has been great because there's been times that it's arriving at the same time as I'm going out. There's a pair of us in front of the house. So they've been really good about playing nice with each other.
That's great.
So hopefully we'll see some press releases coming out about that too. I believe that was also gonna happen, so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Shan.
Okay, next one is new pool lift is required.
Yes, so about maybe 2 weeks ago, Ben from the pool came over and said there's a safety issue with the existing pool lift. It is about 15 years old, which is probably past its lifespan, probably around 10 years would have been its lifespan. It's become very unreliable so that they fix it up and it's good for about a week and then it starts acting up again. So the person gets into the pool and it's fine, but they can't get the person out of the pool. So it's a real safety issue. So as a result of some other barrier removal initiatives that the committee had committed to that didn't happen, we'll be able to reallocate those funds to purchase a new pool lift. So those other barrier removal things will be later in the agenda, but the two items for sure will cover the cost of a new pool lift.
Are they readily available, or is there a supply chain with that issue as well? Do you know?
It's a very good question.
That's, like, as someone that had to wait 6 months for a countertop and cheap, it's always.
Yeah.
What about, can they share for right now using the one for the sledges?
They could, and that's probably the best solution because I'm not sure the one at the sledges are being used right now.
Yeah.
So that's probably the best solution. So good.
I think they got a big shortage of lifeguards right now too.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
I've heard that.
yeah,
Yeah,
big time. Not just here.
everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I saw on the news, I think it was somewhere in Toronto the other day, that several of their pools are only open very minimal
Yeah.
hours, like times for kids swim lessons, but they don't have any open swim time, they can.
All right, thanks, everyone.
So we move on to old business, municipal election, accessibility options. I was there this morning, I advanced voted.
Okay, do you want to share your experience on that? Anything?
Nothing substantial to me, but I generally don't have any challenges with voting as long as it's enough space to get my chair through, I'm good.
Good, and the advanced polls and the bus was good?
Yeah,
Great.
Can I ask a question? When you went to the city hall,
yes,
okay, you know, when you go in
yes,
and you got the lady at the end there before the elevator at the desk,
yes,
there's a sign right there, says, well, whatever it says there.
yeah.
By chance, did they put a color behind it so it stands out?
Can't tell you what I noticed, sorry.
And what
I
was
don't-
it?
I don't, there's signs all over the place down there, you know, I can't remember whether they put a color behind it.
Because when I went down, like I know what you're saying about the door being shut, the lady being there to open it, the door was open.
No, it had nothing to do with the door, it was the actual sign that I was
Oh,
asking.
At the desk.
Yeah, the desk, yeah.
Mm.
Because I went and voted the first day,
mhm.
and I didn't see the sign. The only way I knew where to go is I have to know the girl that sits behind that desk.
Yeah, that's probably why I didn't notice, is I went with my mom and she knew the lady, so she was busy talking and
Yeah,
not paying
and
attention.
so I didn't see the sign, even looking for it, and then once it was there, then I knew that that was the sign, okay? But I should be able to at least figure out a way to get there.
Absolutely.
So I mentioned to them what they should do, and they said they would do it. I says, well, next year when you get things done, to, you know, think about that. And he says, oh, no, we'll do it right away. So what they have is, I don't even know what it says on the sign. It's white against white wall, black writing. And whatever it says, it's about the election. It says, well, you need to put a border around it or something, so that,
I think there
I-
is.
yeah.
yeah.
I think they have changed it
Okay.
to a
That's
blue
what I wanted
background.
to notice that today.
Yeah.
If there
I
is,
think, we'll
I
double
think so.
yeah, double check, yeah, because that was, the first day of the election, I went down, and I mentioned that to them, and he says, well, get on to it right away.
Okay.
This is Denise. I'm going afterwards, so I'll check it out.
Thank you.
There you go.
Yeah,
Very good.
No, I just happened to notice how busy it was for a Wednesday morning right at 10 a.m.
All right, well, good. I'm glad to hear everybody's experience so far has been pretty good. We've just in follow-up to, I think Madison came and spoke with us early, I think it was April or May, about having more accessible voting options. So there are more, and a lot of accessibility is put in place. So they've had a mail-in ballot. For that, you must have registered before October 3rd. But if you want to still vote by mail, that would have been mailed to you. You can pick them up if you want to vote by mail, so you can still do that. And they must be returned, either dropped in the mail before October 23rd, or they can be delivered directly to the Civic Center. There is a vote from home option, and I think this is great for people that have real troubles leaving home. And that you need to register by the end of day Friday, October 13th, which is this coming Friday. You can call the clerk's department, and then they will do home visits during the week of October 17th. So next week sometime they'll be doing that. Then during the advanced polls, the following accessibility options are available. ASL interpreters, which is American Sign Language interpreters, will be available on those dates from 12 till 2 p.m. Sip and puff with disposable straws. So for anyone who communicates or uses a computer with sip and puff, they will be able to use that for the first time. They have paddles for persons with dexterity issues, and you put on headphones and it gives you instructions on how to use the paddles. They also have an audio tactile interface. That's another option for people with dexterity issues. And this also has a braille option on it as well. And then there are audio headphones, and all of the audio headphones have disposable covers, headset covers. Of course, there's still vote by proxy, that your proxy must be appointed by 4:30 PM on voting day, which is Monday, October the 24th. And then available at all locations on election day are magnifying sheets and magnifying glasses, large grip Sharpie markers, large print ballots, and notepads to accommodate communication if that's required.
One thing I did notice though, and it may be accommodated in an accessibility accommodation, but when I did mine today, the little circles where you have to fill in or put your X or whatever, they're very small. I was okay because my dexterity is pretty good, but a lot of my friends are going to end up going outside of the circle or marking elsewhere because they're so small.
Smaller than previous years? From what you
I believe
remember?
so.
Because it's different, it's a counting machine now.
Yes.
I believe it's a
Yeah.
different,
Yeah, they're more.
so it's a different
Yeah,
ballot to
they're
that.
more like, I can't remember what they're called, but those machines that sometimes they used to do like exams in college where
Oh,
you
those
just fill in the
bubbles?
tiny
Oh,
little
yeah.
square.
Like the
That's all they are, is that size, so it's not like this big around you make your X in.
Well, how would that paddle thing work then?
If for anyone that has trouble making that mark, if they have shaky hands or anything, that's where that paddle would help a lot. They've also got the large Sharpie, if someone has fine grip issues, that might be something that would work. It's a matter of trying to figure
And
it out.
one other thing I did notice, like, I'm pretty vocal and I do speak up, I'm assertive like that, but they didn't ask when they gave me that ballot whether I required any accessibility accommodations. That would be nice to be asked in case someone doesn't think about it.
They did or they
They
didn't?
didn't.
Oh, see, they were really good. with
Yeah,
them.
she just handed me that ballot, and like I said, I saw when I got there, like, I could do it, but those little circles were very tiny. There's a lot of my friends with different challenges that will need some sort of accommodation to be able to stay in the lines of filling
Right,
that sort of
right.
accommodation.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about those paddles. Like, I don't know what these paddles.
Yeah, I've never heard of them really, so I couldn't
You
tell
don't
you.
know. I
Because
never-
they said they didn't offer me any type of accommodation.
The paddles are, there's a left and a right arrow, and it works with the audio, so it reads out, I didn't listen to the audio, but it reads out, you know, on your ballot, I forget, on the left-hand side, I think, is the candidates for mayor, and it reads it out, and it reads it out slowly, and then it gives you instructions if you want. First one, you know, press the left arrow, so you've got the two.
So that would work for blind.
Yes, that would happen.
Absolutely,
Or for somebody that can't make the mark in that tiny little circle.
yes,
Okay, good, because I got a meeting next week. I'm gonna mention that.
okay. And I can send out this information to everybody as well, so that you can share it with your networks. Because we do have more than we've ever had before. And Madison is going to come to our meeting today to deliver this information herself, but it's an advanced voting day.
Yes.
So she's kind of busy.
Well,
So I can send that out to the committee as well. So that'd be great if you can share that with your groups
Yeah.
at some point.
Is there any way that maybe someday they can bring these things here so we can all see how they work?
That's a great idea.
Mhm.
Let's invite them to our next meeting. And they can, would have been great if we could have had a demonstration prior to, but we can certainly, while it's timely, we can ask them to do that. Yeah.
Because I would have done that paddle thing just to see how it worked.
Yeah. How'd you know?
If I would have known, yeah.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have sat there going, okay, I have to get in this tiny little spot.
Yeah, you know, like that would be, I don't know.
All right. Just jotting a note about that. All right, well, lots of good feedback on that.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Okay, so the next thing is accessible taxi info.
Yeah, I know over the last 2.5-ish years, I've heard lots of feedback about accessible taxis. They're not even running, or they're not always available, or they didn't have one available that day. So taxis have definitely become a problem, like so many things have over the last couple of years, and the troubles have continued forward. The problem we're having at this point is that the governing body for it is going to be changing.
Shifting, yeah.
It's shifting. It was with the police services department, but it's going to be shifted to a city bylaw for enforcement, which has some personnel implications. So that would be our bylaw enforcement people having to go out and do more of these things. So there are personnel implications there. So I don't even have a good answer for where it's at. It's still a bit of a mess. Currently, we have Sioux Yellow has one wheelchair accessible taxi. The day I spoke to them, their taxi was in Espanola, had taken someone to Espanola. So it wasn't available to anyone else for the day. UCAB, which used to be Checker, has 2 wheelchair accessible taxis, and they ask for 45 minutes in advance for that, which is not bad. But really that's only two accessible taxis. We still have U-Ride or Checker, or I forget what they were called, still have their medical transport. And I
Driver's seat,
No, not driver's seat.
because they're doing like airport transport to driver's seats.
Are they?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Uh-huh.
okay, that I didn't know.
Yeah,
But I don't think they have any accessible vehicles.
that I don't know.
Because I think driver's seat is your own vehicle.
Yeah, except they do have a shuttle that goes to
Okay, they do have one.
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
that would be interesting if it would have been accessible.
Mhm.
But that also brings up the fact that we have a couple of ride sharing. So we have U-Ride, which is a ride share, and Easy Ride, and now Driver's Seat has a ride share airport run. But none of them are accessible and none of them are regulated. And it's a real, it's a bit of a mess. It's always been a challenge with the ride shares. Toronto has figured it out, but Toronto has volumes of people and volumes of riders and volumes of drivers. So they've figured out quite a few things. They've provided financial incentives for their drivers that have purchased an accessible vehicle for the purposes of a cab. They also can do, when they're not being used by the cab company, they can sign on to, what's the biggest, Uber.
Mhm.
The Uber provides a financial incentive for them to pick up fares for people who have mobility devices. Because it's such a large company, they're able to do that.
Yeah.
And then for cab companies that have taxis that are not currently being used, there's also a financial incentive for them to put those on the road so that they get some back, because the cost of the vehicles are so expensive. I don't know how any of that could be applicable here, but I just know that people with disabilities getting a taxi to the hospital in the middle of the night or home from the hospital in the middle of the night is just not available. So it's a problem that we need to look at more, and maybe when the ownership has changed,
Yeah,
we'll be in a position.
I think too, Diane, so Madison was putting together a report, and Constable Ray Magny had done some of that, but didn't really have very much in terms of the accessibility lens. And I said, I think a lot of that was fielded through here and probably then did not go to him. So I advised Madison to contact you in terms of the history of the issues with the paratransport. Because even though it was around this table, I don't think it made it up to discussions with police services.
Okay. Okay, so that conversation then we'll continue with Madison because
Yeah.
she's doing the report.
She's doing a report.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so any other feedback from anybody, anyone that you know, that has needed to use an accessible taxi and hasn't been able to, please let us know, because the more often we hear that, we have a better understanding of what the challenges are, when it was.
Yes,
what the
date
circumstances.
and time, so important, yeah, so we can have a log.
It's just in general, but the only thing I heard we were talking about, the middle of the night, well, they're doing MRIs and things like 24 hours a day now. And I've heard people that have an MRI booked at 2 a.m. How are they supposed to get there? And then they end up having to tell the hospital, well, I need accessible transportation, so it's got to be daytime hours. Well, then they have to wait 6 more months to get an appointment because
Yeah, that's a problem for sure. That shouldn't be happening. So that's where that's at. It's still a bit of a mess. Okay. Any other feedback, let us know.
if not, we'll move on to Main Street reconstruction.
That's an ongoing thing that we've had some discussions at the committee meeting. And I think the last meeting was in May when Daryl Moss came from EACOM, is that how you pronounce it? EACOM? And then I followed up from the last meeting minutes. And so we did a walkabout. And Carol, would you be interested in just filling everybody in? What happened when we went?
Restaurants, they got their outdoor patios. They're not consistent at all. Everyone's different. So, and in fact, there was one that it wasn't totally blocked off. Now I'm looking at it through the way I could see it going through, okay? It's not blocked off, so I end up walking right through the middle of it, but you can't, okay? What they need to do is put put the doorway, when you go around, to put it over there rather than walking straight into it, because you're walking right into the middle of all the tables and then, I don't know, could you get out at the other end? Probably not.
No, there was a planter at the other end,
There was, eh?
blocking off. Yeah.
And then if I would have ended up walking right through, I would have got totally
Which
corralled in.
Which restaurant is it?
That was, down by Peacock Garden,
Yeah, we were-
Peacock Garden.
Gardens.
Yeah, we're, the downtown association.
Yes, just down.
Main Street?
Yeah.
Because there's 3 of them in a
Main
row
Street,
there.
Main Street?
Main Street's before.
Between spring and, March.
Okay, Tassie's?
Maybe it was
Tassie's is on the corner, isn't it?
No.
Tassie's or Queen's Tart.
Okay, and then there's the Peacock Gardens, whatever it's called now.
No, it's Tassie's.
Oh, that's Tassie's?
Yeah.
Okay, on the corner, it used to be the Corral or something like that years ago.
Well,
Queen's Tarts.
Tarts now.
Queen's Tart?
But it wasn't
Queen's
the
Tarts, yeah.
first that had a patio.
No, oh, they all have, there was 3 of them in a row there, but they're all different.
We only
We didn't
got
go
to the
through that.
first one.
Yeah, another got the first one.
What's the first one on that? Anyways,
Yeah, there's 3 of them in a row there.
If you're going down Spring, from Spring, crossing Spring, you would have gotten to Tassie's first and then Queen's Tarts. Because the
okay,
Queen's
so,
Tarts is right on the corner where Penny used to be.
okay.
Okay.
So
But their patio was kind of more on,
It's like
March,
wooden,
right?
no, it's in front,
onto the road.
oh,
it's in
Okay.
front.
We're talking the west side.
Yeah.
Not the east.
I have some pictures I took, so I'll send them to you, Diane, and then maybe you can determine which one it was, and then we can figure out logistically how to make it better in the future.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But yeah, I just happened to take some pictures for for Jonathan, who does all the patios. So I have 2 pictures. I'll send them off to you, and then maybe we can more closely identify what the obstacle was.
yes.
That makes sense?
I thought with that, that's right, and as Carol said, it seems like every patio is a little different. So if we could improve our patio guidelines and try to make it so that they have some consistency, because that seems to be the biggest problem, right, Carol?
Yeah, because some of them, when you're walking, some of them have, and I'm talking about all of Queen, because I walked the whole Queen, but that day we only did the 1 block, okay? So, you can start out at one end, and then you end up, and they just got a chain. Okay, no warning, no nothing, and my cane will go right underneath it, and I don't know that chain's there until it probably hits my elbow. Meanwhile, the chain gets wrapped around my, just a scenario, wrapped around my waist, and then I just, you know, picture it, right? So then you got the other one, where it's got a gate, and then my cane will go right underneath, because there's no stopper. So I can guide my cane along, and my cane will go underneath, and then the gate's about 6 inches high, okay, and then I'm trying to follow it, but then it gets tangled up in chairs that are under there or whatever, okay? You know, and then you've got the other ones that just have a piece, well, there was another one, but it wasn't set up this year, I don't think, it was like a big wall, okay? So I have to go around, and then I have to squeeze between this wall and the curb, and hopefully nobody comes towards me, because then one of us is gonna end up on the road, because it wasn't wide enough. So they have to be all consistent. They're not consistent. They all have to have the similar, same type of design that anybody can get through there, and no problem.
Right, it becomes predictable for you.
Yeah.
Okay, and others with vision loss.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have some work to do with that, and we can certainly work on that. And then we'll find a whole list of other things that we made mistakes on, because there's always something, it seems. You solve one problem and inadvertently you may have created 2 more. So we will work towards improving that. The consistency seems to be the biggest factor, right?
And those A signs.
Oh, the sandwich boards.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, those are a challenge for sure.
I knock them over frequently.
Oh, I'm like a magnet to them, eh? Especially those ones that on the floor, the wet floor. They go flying across the room. But those sandwich boards they got on, what they call there on the sidewalk there, you know? I got my cane, but that's my guy, my cane, and it gets wrapped up in one of those, and
Right, yeah, it's a challenge.
it's a challenge.
What about the crossings? Challenges again, I know, trying to figure it out.
4.5 beeps just doesn't cut it. 4.5 beeps one way and 23 beeps the other way, okay? 4.5 beeps, it takes me 4.5 beeps to get off the curb. Blind people, low vision people, we maneuver different. You get to the curb, you don't know if the light's red or green, so you gotta wait. So now you know that the light turns green because you've got to hear the wave of traffic passing you, okay? So you step off the curb, listen, wait a second here because you don't want to go running out. So you have a pause there, and then you hear the car, and as it's passing you, you know that car's going past you and not turning. So now 4.5 beeps are already gone. So now you got to start crossing, but your 4.5 beeps are done. You really don't know how far away that other sidewalk is. So do you chance crossing it? I'm not too sure now. I better go back and stand on that curb, and maybe I can do a better job this time. Okay, I'm gonna time myself. That car is coming. The wave. Okay, I think I got enough time now. No, the beeping stopped. I don't know how far away it is. So
And
it's
the
a challenge.
beeping guides you to the other side as well, right? So you're following the sound.
You're following it, but it's also telling you, well, I got enough time to cross. You can't even get one lane and it stops beeping.
Yeah.
But some corners. 4.5, not even a full 5 beats, it's not 5 beats, it's 4.5, okay? And you go check these out, 4.5 beats. So 4.5 beats to cross, let's say, group health center to the YMCA. And I do want to bring up, there was accidents there years ago. 4.5 beats. That's if you want to go from group health to the Y. But let's say I want to go to group health to, let's say, Crazy Ernie's. I got 23 beats to make across that street, no problem. I'll get across, no problem. In fact, I'll probably need 10 more beats that I need it. You
So
know?
it's not consistent.
The beeps are commensurate with the way they time the lights by the sounds of it, right? Because it's a lot quicker. Like the light is green on east-west bound as opposed to north-south on those streets. It's probably like that downtown quite a bit too.
Oh, and Metro, Pee Wee Arena, 4.5 beats, not 5.
Yeah.
I do want to keep saying that. Why it's 4.5, I don't know.
Yeah, because the lights are timed
Yeah, that's what it is.
for the main traffic flow, so they didn't
Well, they've
really
done-
consider the pedestrians when they time the lights.
That's right. And also at Metro Pee Wee Arena, years ago, there also were people hit there, seriously.
Yes,
Okay. And, with the senior building there and everything, okay? People in wheelchairs, walkers, they cannot make it even one lane. Now, people have been trying to get that light extended for a long time, for many years, and nothing's ever been done, and it's always being said that they're gonna do something, and they never do it, okay? This is serious business here. People drive different now than they did 20 years ago. Okay, people now, they drive faster, they don't pay attention. Everybody that crosses that street, whether you're handicapped or not, is at risk. That 4.5 beat thing has to stop.
So why don't you invite Andy Starzowski, Diane, to the next meeting?
Excellent. Yes.
I can remember about 15 years ago, Andy, being at this table and having the same conversation.
Well, you know what?
But it's a different system, it's a different timing system that they have now, so.
I'll
We
give
heard
you
a lot
one.
about that around South Market and Trunk, and
Yeah.
the consultant that did the traffic study in support of that development actually said that the timing for the pedestrian, the timing of the light needed to change for the pedestrian.
Mhm.
Like they had to lengthen it a little bit,
Not a little bit, a lot.
or a lot. I think ultimately the reality is we're an auto-centric community, and it's always been about the vehicle, right? And that needs to change.
Even myself, like, my vision isn't challenged in that way, but even just to push myself across the street takes me X amount of time. 4.5 beats is not enough.
But you try these seniors that are trying to
Yeah,
get to their dentist appointment or their grocery store with their walker, you know? They get in a panic, they're gonna fall right in the middle of the road. Something needs to be done.
And if there's a freaking pothole,
Well, you know, my kid gets stuck at those all the time.
I swear I live in the pothole center of Sault
Maybe you should go for a walk one day.
I don't know, Sudbury is pretty bad.
absolutely.
And North Bay.
Agreed, agreed. All right, so we've got some work to do. So as far as the Queen Street reconstruction goes, Peter, what is the time frame for that, like
Mhm.
plans to be solidified?
It's a ways away, there'll be more consultation. Essentially, there was consultation that was done in May and June. As a result of that consultation, the consultant AECom has put together a design brief where they basically listened to what people have said and made some changes. I would suggest that probably after the election, there will be probably another round of consultation. There is, yes. So you'll see another round of consultation, and truth be told, I think they did a really good job of listening to the merchants on Queen Street. I've sort of approached this from the standpoint that this project really is all about allowing the merchants on Queen Street to really activate their sidewalks, and to your point, that's a point well taken, in that these are a relatively new phenomenon here in Sault Ste. Marie, right? Like, I think we're talking 3 or 4 years, but it's actually been pretty successful. So, but I didn't, you can tell that there's you're going to be creating some barriers when you put these things up, but I suspect there's some fairly easy solutions Maybe even just like a kick plate around it, right? So that you could follow your way around it, or just change in the coloring of the walkway or things like that. So that's sort of, I think, the basis of the design or the redesign, if you will, is to really give the merchants a better opportunity to try to activate their sidewalk.
Right, so to get people moving, walking through our downtown, which is.
Yeah,
great.
and using the sidewalk, patios,
Yeah.
displays, those sorts of things.
Okay, so we've got some time to work on that. I did, as a result of that, also send to, Carl Ramiel was also with us on that walk as well. So I sent them, Carol as well, the design of public spaces standard, which is actually law. So I don't really like the design of crosswalks that they've gotten there, and that's why it's being reviewed, that and many other things. So I'll bring some feedback back from our group, anyone that has some feedback on it, because I reviewing it after seeing how Carol navigates crosswalks, it's not done very well in the standard. So we'll have to have some more talks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a great opportunity to reduce the speed limit on that portion of Queen as well.
Yeah, I think that's,
I think there's a good
Yeah.
opportunity to do that.
anything on CBC about that, maybe, on the, what would you say, speaking, how it creates better community. I didn't pay attention to who it was, because they were like, I caught like 2 seconds of it.
Well, there's these guerrilla groups in Toronto right now. They're going and they're making stickers that look like speed limit signs. So you know your standard speed limit signs, and they're actually, where it's 50, they're putting it at like 15.
Yeah.
And they're literally like in the middle of the night, they're with a ladder.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Have you seen that? Yeah, it's kind of neat, and people are actually
Slowing down.
Slowing down. I like 30. I think our engineers probably prefer 40. But I think 50 is just too fast, and it doesn't really lend itself well to that environment that you're trying to create on the sidewalk. People are racing down the street in the canyon that it is, right? So.
Good, we've got some work to do.
So this is Dawn Point, the video remote interpreting.
Oh, yes, that's a different one. We had talked about at the committee and had approved in our annual accessibility, not annual, 5-year accessibility plan, funding for video remote interpreting, VRI. So it's something that could really revolutionize the way that people who are deaf and use sign language interact, with the businesses around. So it's an on-demand service that uses an iPad. So say someone comes to the pool, or say someone comes here and they use ASL interpretation for their means of communication. So we would have an iPad here, we call up on the iPad a remote interpreter, and they're generally available within a minute or so, because it's all across Ontario. And it's a service provided by Canadian Hearing Services. So it's utilizing all of the interpreters, the ASL interpreters across the province. There are times when they aren't being called to work at a meeting or interpret at a doctor's office or what have you. So they're available, and it's just a matter of calling them up. You pay per service. We had budgeted, I forget the amount, it was I think it was 5,000 annually for that. And especially to try to be able to put it at the pool, at City Hall, at various different services throughout the city, at transit, for anyone who uses ASL. The program fell apart during COVID. And I talked to the gentleman a short while ago, a couple of days ago, and he said they are in a position to restart in the new year. So we will revisit that. And that is, I think, $5,000 that I was mentioning that had not been used, that we would be able to put towards a pool lift. So, but I'm really excited about that because that can really change how people who are deaf communicate around our community.
Great idea.
That's really something you bring forward
Like
to the
simple,
downtown
but yeah.
associations or with their membership.
Absolutely.
Especially banks,
Yes.
accountants, lawyers, all of like
Yeah.
those services.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could be really
yeah.
big for sure.
Even something like the elections, people aren't limited to 2 hours that they can go, because they might be doing their own thing in those 2 hours.
Yeah, they were hoping they would have it for that, but it's not up and running.
Uber for sign language, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's great.
So how, so let's say they have to go to the bank. That's okay.
I'm thinking
Yeah,
of
as an
things where
example.
where you need to communicate,
Yeah.
like, if you're going to a teller, it's usually because you have to do
Yeah.
like more involved things, lawyers, therapists.
So who has the iPad? The person with the hearing loss or?
The
Well,
service.
yes.
Service itself, eh?
Yes, so it would be facing the person that is deaf, that's using ASL. And so the deaf person would sign to the ASL interpreter, and then the ASL interpreter would then verbalize what that person just said to the service that is being provided.
So it would be like the bank or lawyer or store, or whatever, that would have the iPad there. And the person with hearing loss would go visit them and say, oh, I want to do this, this, and this. The guy there, yeah. But they would turn this iPad around so it's facing them, and then they would say what they want to say.
They don't have to turn it around to
Or-
see the person when they're verbalizing, when they're saying. They hear the person and then they would sign back to the person who is deaf. So the person who is deaf would have the screen facing them all the time
Okay.
so that they can see, oh, the person said something, oh, and now they're signing what was said.
So is it gonna be mandatory that all these businesses have this?
No,
Or
there's
is
no
this-
mandatory, it's totally voluntary.
Okay.
And I think it's a really good accessible service for the corporation to have, the city to have for services. And then I think it will become a hot thing at other businesses.
Well, it's probably, I would suspect that these folks that would need this service would probably walk around with an iPad or some form of device. Phone would work too.
Yes,
And then it's just an app. I'm assuming it's a connection app that whether you have it on your PC at work or your phone or.
I think you're asking.
I can see it would take a little bit of setup and that you'd have to kind of be able to put it down on a desk somewhere so that you could sign into it and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of like a blind
Yeah,
square.
Just take a video chat.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
Okay, but see,
And-
now
and
here's
a
the other
connection,
thing too.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot of deaf people don't have a phone, but a lot of them do because they use the vibration, they use it for texting. Same with the blind, right? You know, some have phones, some don't. I think that's great.
Yeah.
I do, a lot of my friends are deaf.
Pulls me away.
yes.
So it would be, that's why I questioned it.
Yeah.
Okay, because,
I have a friend, she's not deaf, but she's completely nonverbal, so she uses her phone, like you say, for texting. She'll write out what she wants to say and she can show the person she's talking to.
mhm. Oh, that is great. Yeah, definitely.
It is 3:00 right now, and by the way, you can Google that, the video remote interpreting, they do have a video demonstration. You may not see the video demonstration, but you can hear, they explain it fairly well, how it works as well.
Can I share that?
Absolutely, it's public,
Oh, it is?
Yes,
I'm
yes,
gonna put
yes.
it on my Facebook then.
and we did have a presentation here, a year and a half ago about it. We brought up the video, but it is available on, I think, on YouTube, VRI, yeah. Do we need a break? It's 3:00. Do we need a break or should we keep going?
I'm okay to keep going, there's only a couple more things left.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's keep going.
great. Okay, Carol, you're okay with that too?
Oh, yeah, I'm good, yeah.
All right.
So, next
I gotta say, there's somebody sitting beside me, right?
Oh, hi.
I can hear it.
Sir, sir, we do have another person in the room, and this is our attendant to provide supports to any committee members that need supports. So sorry, yes, there was another person sitting beside you, Carol. You're a little. I'm not sure. Okay.
Good to finish up.
Yeah.
The next one is the barrier removal updates, and it looks like there's been some parking violations that have been caught.
Yeah, these are the totals, for the whole city
Okay.
for this year to, I think it was September 14th or so. I received the total number of accessible parking tickets that have been issued, and it wasn't a whole lot, but I also wanted to know where were those, because that would give us an idea of where the message is getting out that you shouldn't be parking in accessible parking spaces, and where we need to maybe do a better job. So 50 were at Sioux Area Hospital, so they are keeping an eye on that. It's not a lot though for the whole year. 19 at downtown parking lots. 4 on private property, so I'm guessing that's private businesses. It might be a Walmart, or it might be a.
Should be more there, of course.
Yeah. 3 at the airport and 2 at Cambridge Mall, although, there you go, there's private property in Cambridge Mall. I never thought of that. I'm gonna have to find out what private property
Yeah.
is. So that was contracted out to Northborough, and that's where that's at. We know that the abuse of accessible parking spaces is very, very high. One just has to drive through the parking lot during hockey games to know that that's a thing that happens here as well. So I know everybody's just getting back to normal and getting back to the hockey games, getting back to, all kinds of things. So hopefully we will see that things like that will be more watched, and there should be more tickets, and hopefully less tickets over time, because people are really hesitant to park there again when they've gotten a $300 fine. So I just wanted to give an update on that.
Okay, so next one will be you again, Diane, the site plan subcommittee report.
Yeah, I sent that around. These were ones that that came across my desk before I came into the job of accessibility coordinator. So moving forward, we'll need another site plan subcommittee chairperson. So we'll worry about that in the new year when we've got our new committee, and we'll work on that as well. So any questions about anything that's on the site plan report?
I have one question. It's Dan. I see the committee members. I'm not on actually listed as a committee member.
On site plan.
I was a committee member for site plan.
Oh, I don't know why you're not on there then, Dan. Maybe because you were off for a little while, and I don't know. I don't know. I'll offer my apologies for that, Dan.
Yeah, maybe when it was time for renew everything, I may not mention that one. But
I don't know. I'm an oversight. You're added back on.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else on the committee is welcome to be part of the site plan subcommittee. And anyone from the community can actually be part of the site plan subcommittee as well. What we'll try to do in the new year with our new committee and our new site plan chairperson is set up a regular day of the week, and it's a standing meeting. And if there are no site plans or no rezonings that require viewing, the meeting gets canceled. But if everybody can, on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday at lunchtime, reserve their lunch for that, that's worked well in the past. So, all right.
And just final note, as Diane had mentioned, the AAC term is ending, and applications for the new committee starting in January will be available in November.
Yes, I've been told it's in November.
Yes.
So, yeah, ready.
Just
There's an
before,
election.
just before we adjourn, Diane, I'm gonna question this next meeting date. You've got 2021 date.
Okay, well, we'll do
And-
that.
Yeah, and I just looked at it, that date is a Thursday, it's not a Wednesday.
Maybe that's why.
Hmm.
Okay, it would be November 9th
Ninth,
then,
yes.
November 9th.
November 9th, 22.
Monday.
And that is providing we've got something to update.
Okay.
There have in the past couple of years not been meetings quite as frequent. So if anyone has any items to bring to the committee, please do. It's great that we've got updates from the city, but it's really good to have things from the committee brought forward as well. All right. Anything else, anyone?
Do you have a quorum now?
With Dan,
The
How many
councillor
members?
doesn't allow us, so does that get you the quorum?
I don't know.
Dan Mallory comes in.
Yes, exactly. I wasn't counted for the.
Oh, that's right.
stipend, so.
But I'm not sure.
Maybe not.
No, I don't think
March is
so.
not here.
Yeah.
March is the other one.
Mhm.
And then we'll do the autism strategy updates, but we should plan a meeting with you and I, and then, I think it's still Steve for Innovation Center, because there's huge change.
Oh, okay.
Because
Okay,
they,
great.
like, yeah, there's, with the IAO, there's a whole, APH doesn't do any more intakes anymore, all goes through, like, there's a whole
What's IAO?
independent intake organization. So
Okay.
the Ontario government, it's the Ontario Autism Program is being facilitated by 4 organizations. Acerta is the lead, they are a healthcare provider agency. McMaster University, Health 360, and Autism Ontario.
Okay.
Autism Ontario is completely changed as well. So we don't have local chapters anymore, we're in regions. So both, there's been enhanced adult services, which is great. But the intake in terms of like that 0 to 5 age, EPH is not involved with that at all.
Okay.
It's all through Thrive.
So does the strategy have to
The
change?
strategy
then?
doesn't change, but the roadmap certainly does.
Okay.
Yeah. And like just some contact names and stuff like that. So I'll find out, I'll message Steve and you together, because then they're the owners of the roadmap, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll bring that up at a next meeting. with
Yeah.
The info.
Yeah, because we were still waiting, I was still waiting, there were still people getting hired and things like that, so, so we can definitely have, and I'll confirm with Lisa if it's right. Understand, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so I think that's all, so I guess we can adjourn.
All right, thanks, everyone. Thank you, Tony Marie, and I see Tracy is signed off already, so thank you for joining us online. Appreciate it.
Yes. See you guys later.
Yeah.
Yeah.